Nobody's coming out. That was the voice of CBS producer John Paxton in my headphones. I was on my camera at the police checkpoint, and across the plain in front of me was the Branch Davidian complex. It was on fire. CBS correspondent Vicki Mabry was talking into my camera, and we were live on the network. John was back at the command RV looking at a monitor showing the shot from the long lens camera and telling Vicki and I what he was seeing. Our satellite truck had two paths going to New York. The director at CBS in New York could see both my camera with Vicki and the burning buildings over her shoulder, but also the camera we used with the super telephoto lens for the close-up shots. The director could switch between the two shots at will. All audio came from Vicki. As the words spoken by John settled into my head, all I could think about were the children inside. I realized that I was watching helplessly as about 30 kids were being burned alive. I had no feelings for the adults. They had made their choice. But the children had no voice. They were dying in the most horrible way as a result of the fanaticism of the grown-ups that were supposed to see to their best interest. They trusted those adults and did what they told them to do. As the fire raged, Vicki kept talking. We had fire trucks pass us. And when I would hear the fire trucks approaching, I would move the camera off of Vicki and onto the fire trucks and then follow them as they came by us and on their way to the burning Branch Davidian compound. I have always thought about the protection of children. As a parent who has 3 children, my job on planet Earth, first and foremost, is to protect those children. I have little patience for people who are mean to their children or mean to any child. Well, as it turns out, CBS had hired a consultant who specialized in groups like the Davidians. And 1 or 2 weeks before the fire, he gave us a rundown of what he believed about the Davidians. And he talked about how they believed that the only way into heaven was a trial by fire. Well, they got it, and they held their children inside. I get as angry as Buzz Aldrin does sometimes when people don't believe that we actually stepped on the moon, because he was there. I spent a whole afternoon with him at his house. After you hear him talk, you believe you stepped on the moon. But there are people who do not want to believe that the Branch Davidians set the fire themselves. I was there. Someone asked me recently about the times in my life, my professional life, of covering network news, where I was moved by an event. That's one of 3 times that I can talk about. The other I talked about, one other was one I talked about in episode 2 about the Mexico City earthquake and shooting over the shoulder of that field nurse technicians trying to revive a baby that had been pulled out of the rubble after 8 days in the rubble of a maternity hospital. And when that little baby started kicking his legs, you can't help but well up. The third time I will address in future episode. So the Branch Davidian compound, that was a 2-month ordeal. We practically lived there. I was the daytime camera shift across the field for CBS. Someone would take over from me to do the nighttime. And it was one of those things that lives with you. You can't forget it. many things happened there that that evolved. It's sort of that crossroad across the prairie from the Branch Davidian compound. The police had put us out there some distance away because the Branch Davidians had a .50 caliber machine gun, and that can throw lead about 2 miles. So we didn't want to be too up close. But we sort of made it home. My very dear friend Joe Duncan, who without him and his wife Patty, I would never have been in network news. Joe became the unofficial mayor of what we called Satellite City. All the media up and down the 3 of the 4 directions from that intersection, the 4th direction being behind barricades and guarded by police. And we would watch the comings and goings every day. And Joe, being the unofficial mayor, got not sewer service, but garbage service to Satellite City. Telephone company came in and put in poles and lines. This is 1993, remember. So we celebrated Easter. We had an egg hunt for kids at the crossroads. Just so many small stories attached with that. So as I remember more, though none as dramatic as the day the compound burned, I'll be talking about it in future episodes. If you watch the Branch Davidian Compound Burn on any station fed by CBS in the country or around the world, you are watching my camera. Thank you for listening to The Most Exclusive Club. I'm Don Smith.